in news in recent, I was going to say days, but really, probably spanning back, particularly over the last 12 months or so, you've probably seen a lot more of, or a lot more mention about the International Criminal Court, the ICC, owing to Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine, so on and so forth. So this video, we're going to delve into the ICC, the International Criminal Court. After World War II, the Allied forces set up the Nuremberg and Tokyo tribunals to prosecute individuals for atrocities committed during this time of the Second World War. So these tribunals tackled predominantly war crimes, crimes against peace, and crimes against humanity. So whilst the crime of genocide at that time, immediately following World War II, had yet to be codified in law as an actual crime, the tribunals, the Nuremberg and the Tokyo, paved the way for international laws aimed at preventing future atrocities, such as the 1948 Genocide Convention. So whilst genocide in the immediate aftermath of World War II was not a codified law, if it's not in law, you cannot accuse, then try someone of a law that isn't, of a crime that isn't codified. But what the tribunals did was they highlighted a bit of a gap, a necessity for the behaviours, the crimes committed by individuals in Japan and Germany and so on and so forth. They recognized that there was a need for a specific type of codified crime, i.e. genocide. And this came about in the form of that 1948 Genocide Convention. But by the 1990s, tribunals like the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and also Rwanda showed the world really that impunity for grave crimes is quite unacceptable. However, the International Criminal Tribunals for Yugoslavia and for Rwanda, they were ad hoc, which means that they were temporary. They were only set up to deal with the atrocities during a particular period of time and in those particular geographical locations, Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, and Rwanda respectively. However, there was then there was a call for a more permanent solution, a permanent court. So the ICC was born. So the International Criminal Court, it is governed by the Rome Statute, and it became the first permanent treaty-based international criminal court, and it was established to end impunity for the worst international crimes. So the Rome Statute came into effect in 2002, and the ICC was established and set up in The Hague in the Netherlands. I'm sure you might have seen this already if you've been following, again, international developments over the last significant time. So it's an independent organization, and it is not part of the United Nations, though it receives funding from United Nations member states and also other sources. So it is a common misconception that the International Criminal Court is part of the United Nations. It isn't. It is independent from that. The ICC's first trial was in 2006, involving Congolese warlords, one of them being Thomas Dilo, and he was convicted in 2012. So the ICC, it operates on key beliefs such as justice for all, ending impunity. It has this belief that it can deter future crime through being able to hold individuals accountable, and it also has this notion about protecting the rights of victims. But what defines the ICC is that it is the world's first and only permanent international judicial body, and it tries individuals. So this is a key point. It tries individuals, not countries or organizations, for the gravest of crimes. Again, like genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. So it tries criminally individuals, not nation states. So it's the reason why you'll see arrest warrants out for, technically at the minute, for the likes of Vladimir Putin, not Russia, for example. What defines the ICC is that, again, it is the world's first and only permanent international judicial body, and it follows as a complementary, it has this complementary principle. So what we mean by that is that it steps in when national judicial bodies are unwilling or unable to prosecute. So there's a bit of a chain of command here, much like if you had a grievance with your, if you're watching this and you're from a European nation that is a signatory to the European Convention of Human Rights, you can eventually take a grievance against your national government to the European courts, but you kind of need to go through your own domestic legal mechanisms first. And it's the same here. So it is, and it has the ICC. It has that complementary principle. It is and can and will be used, but in recognition that your domestic judicial systems are not functioning as they should be. So it follows as that complementary principle, stepping in when national jurisdictions are unwilling or just unable to prosecute. So the ICC has, of course, international jurisdictions. It is it's an independent prosecutor. So again, it's independent as what is commonly misconstrued as being part of the European Union. It isn't. So it is an independent prosecutor, and it is divided into different stages of a criminal justice process. I.e., it's got pre-trial segments, it's got obviously trial and appeals chambers as well. And there has been quite a few to date in its short history, notable cases including the likes of, as I've mentioned, Thomas Dayo, Jean-Pierre Bemba, Omar al-Bashiri, albeit arrest warrant out, and Joseph Kony, highlighting the court's reach, but also its challenges, because of course there's an arrest warrant out for al-Bashiri. He is currently evading those, to the best of my knowledge. So it has power, it has a jurisdiction, and when evaluating the ICC, like any other international mechanism, we often ask, how effective is it in prosecuting and then deterring crimes? What are its limits? Because of course there is, when it comes to an international mechanism such as this, it's going to have limitations to its jurisdiction. And how well do states cooperate and operate within that? And can it be impartial? Because of course, look, it is independent from the European Union, but it receives some level of funding, so can it be truly impartial? And what impact has it had on the international justice and politics and political arena? So look, there's big questions there, and there's much more depth to that than what's going to be discussed in this short video, but we need to acknowledge that despite its achievements, and there has been a few for the International Criminal Court, the ICC, it faces key issues. It does have that reliance on states, its member states, to enforce arrest warrants that it puts out on individuals. There is accusations of political bias, and there is, of course, limitations to its jurisdiction over non-member states. And this creates cooperation challenges because, well, for example, Russian Federation and Israel don't recognize the International Criminal Court. So if it doesn't recognize it, then quite frankly, it doesn't care what the International Criminal Court has to say. And when arrest warrants are put out for the likes of Vladimir Putin, well, they just don't care. So the ICC, it plays a pivotal role in the fight against impunity, but it also faces significant challenges as well.